Hi, lovely people. Today I want to recommend you an underrated gem. Everything, everywhere, all at once. Of course, I'm just kidding. Since its release in March 2022, this movie literally has been everywhere all at once. I mean, just look at the list of accolades.
3 hours later.
Okay, probably I shouldn't do humor. Not to be dramatic, but it really was my best cinema experience. I definitely have many movies I like more. Even so, there are not many movies that make you feel five emotions at a time if you go along with the maximalist style. All my film nerds, you know. One does not simply watch a movie without watching hours long of content on YouTube afterwards. When I saw all those great analyses and interpretations of this story, I thought, at this point, I have nothing to add to the conversation until I realized that among all the great messages this movie gives us, one has to be pointed out especially.
Call your mom.
Stay with me at that. We'll come to that later. But first, let us rewind what the story tells us. Evelyn, an immigrant woman, tries to adjust her life as a wife, mother, and a owner of a laundry shop. Somehow everything seems against her odds. Her daughter Joy wants to introduce her girlfriend to the old and strict grandfather. She has problems with the tax office, and as if these were not enough, her husband Waymond also wants divorce. Exactly when everything seems to fall apart, suddenly another version of her husband from another universe, the Alphaverse so to say, appears and claims that there is a threat across the multiverse and Evelyn is the chosen one to save the day. The upcoming danger, an ultimate villain with absolute power who wants to destroy all the universes, Chopu Tupaki. To our herent surprise, it turns out that the great threat is no other than her daughter Joy. Everything, everywhere, all at once introduces us to very simple people. I think this played a huge role on the success of this film, because as a viewer you can simply find yourself in those characters who are very grounded. Even after seeing 60 universe jumps in a blink of an eye, as soon as we see them interact with each other, we can see genuine concerns and feelings. When the directors and writers of this movie, Daniel Scheinert and Daniel Kwan, also known as the Daniels, were asked of the meaning of their work, they said that the concept of the multiverse is a metaphor for the craziness of the age we live in, especially the internet. It opens us a world where we can reach out to everything, where we can be everywhere, and that all at once. May it be an infinite number of universes, or an infinite amount of worlds we take part virtually. In the end, both come back to the same point.
Nothing matters.
Yet, even in a complete meaningless world, the people we love give us meaning. So, it's about finding each other in a very nosy world, to quote Daniel Kwan. Okay, now let us talk about the relationship between Evelyn and Joy and why we needed this movie.
It wasn't to destroy everything. It was to destroy myself. I wanted to see if I went in, could I finally escape?
Like the Daniels said, we all are on the internet. And while I was watching the video, I came across this one and realized why I didn't like Lady Bird. It was a movie I once watched and really didn't care about, and I didn't even thought about why I didn't like it. But as soon as I read the comments, I knew what my problem was. Before I state my critique, I want to say that I don't want to talk down the problems many people have to deal with. I know those problems are real and they are hurtful, but it's lacking perspective. Again, there are limits to every relationship. When those limits are crossed, we should know to protect ourselves. But I have the feeling that those limits, not only in cinema but also in TV shows or social media, are kept very tight. And exactly this is when this masterpiece comes in. The narrative starts with the point of view of Evelyn as the mother. It could quickly turn into an excuse for everything she has caused, but we get as much insight as hers into the thoughts and emotions of our other protagonists. The relationship between husband and wife is also as interesting as between mother and daughter, but I don't want to go into that today. I really just want to focus on the relationship between parent and kid. The movie doesn't shy away from showing how Evelyn's mistreatment ruined her daughter. It's not that only Joy turns into a very powerful, omnipotent villain, but also that she's suicidal. But it also knows to acknowledge that her behavior is the outcome of her lived experience. It's not an excuse, but an insight to the cause that only can be worked through if worked together. I know many people are disappointed in their parents, and they are right to do so. Unfortunately, I couldn't find the short, but if you spend enough time on the internet, I'm sure you'll come across the video yourself. In the video, a man states how he haven't contacted his father in years and didn't even went to his funeral, and has no regrets on that. In the comment section with over 23,000 comments, I scrolled and scrolled only to find an opposite standpoint, and all of them only were about how people stop talking to family members. I'm sure many of them are right to do so. Like I said, we should know how to protect ourselves. But I'm skeptical that really 23,000 people had to stop talking to family members. On the one hand, we definitely needed the awakening that we don't have to stick with people who hurt us. But again, mankind doesn't know its limits and turned this to 180 degrees. I have the feeling that we lost our ability to keep up with relationships on our way. At the end of the day, we all are only human beings with toxic traits. My favorite word of the year, everyone uses it relentlessly. But we have to work through those toxicities within our relationships. The way our parents treat us is one of the most, if not the most important factor in our lives. But we can't expect them to be perfect. Your parents might not understand you, but how much do you understand them? We live in a crazy world and we have to hold on to the things that makes it meaningful. So, call your mom, even if she is cold and disappointed. I'm sure stakes are high. You're still the person she loves the most. Unfortunately, I couldn't hire Harry Styles for this part, but I have a post-credit scene because I have to make this reference. I didn't use this quote from a very manipulative movie that is rooted in strict traditions, but I had to make the reference while we were at the topic, so